It's a lot of work. You don't want to do this, trust me. Hello and welcome to the video. This is a good one. This was February last year. The beard is getting longer, you'll spot that. I just want to say 92% of you don't subscribe, so if you could subscribe, if you like the video, please subscribe. It makes all the difference. Comment, share, like, all of that, you know that. So this video is a lot of paperwork. It was nearly 80 minutes worth of filming this Church Pew. Church Pews are great, but cutting them down, doing things like that, there's a lot goes into it. So this isn't a tutorial, but if you want to know everything that goes into actually doing it yourself, you need to watch this video because I've left nothing out. It's all there, warts and all. There's some descriptions. There's no music. It's not one of those videos. This is kept for my reference, but also for the customer's reference as well, so that you can see what I did. And I don't put a finish on it. I just get it completed structurally and make it so that it can be cleaned down. So it goes off to Lou. Lou cleans it all down, and then he takes it to his son's house and puts it in his son's house. And I've got to tell you, the last bit looks great. So you'll love the last bit. Anything else? I also need to tell you that it went over 2 days. I was on my own. I had no help doing it, which meant it was heavy. I couldn't move it out of the entranceway of my workshop. That's how heavy it was. I started it on the Sunday, finished it on the Monday, and literally took the last bit off, and it was just structurally there. And he came, and it was put straight into his Hawks box and went. So it was a quick job, and it was worth doing, but there was some pains along the way. You'll see that. Oh, and it was hard work. It was hard work. So if you're thinking of doing it, you need to watch it. If you're thinking of doing it, you can pay somebody to do it, get them to do it and show them the video, because you don't want to do this. Trust me, it's a lot of work. It's hard work, and sorting it out. Once you've done one, it gets easy. If you've never done one before, watch the video. Enjoy. Good morning. That's the holly. I'm taking that holly home today. So I've put it out there. I've moved it out of the workshop because I've got something to show you. This has come into the workshop today. Sunday morning, and it's blooming chilly in here. Sunday morning, and somebody I know, old friend, has asked me, can I make this into a wonderful corner seat for a kitchen? So we've measured it all up, and we've just gone through some things, and there were some things that we weren't going to do, but now we've found that the ideal doesn't always happen. And one of the problems with this is there is a rake to the seat. The seat is raked back. The backrest is angled back as well. So actually, it's not too bad. Yeah, it's quite comfortable. It's quite comfortable. Short in the seat, but no, it's all right. So what we didn't want to do, really, because it can look a pain sometimes, is I was thinking it should look like that. And well done, Lou, with your drawings, your little sketches, they're great. I wanted to do that. That's a better way of doing it to look good. This can look wrong. But now, because it's not flat, I wouldn't have that effect. It would actually leave a triangle there, which wouldn't look good at all. So it's got to be mitred, which I didn't want to do, but I've got to do it. And there's a lot to allow for. It's got this part here, this little shelf for your Bibles and hymn books to go on, whatever. It's got that going on, so I've got to allow for that in the depth, and I've got to start working out where I'm going to cut it. And what I've done on the drawing is, this is the space. I've got maximum 1200 from a radiator to the side of a unit here, and we've got 1900 up to the end of the radiator, but I've got an extra 200mm if I need it. So I could make it a bit longer, but right, so I'm going to get on with marking it out. So it's where do I start? And This is always a tricky thing. Knowing I've got to mitre it now, I think I'm starting from this end and working my way back. But to make things easier for me, I've decided to take a piece of plywood and mitre it, set it up on the square and mitre that. So now I can put these in place. Let me show you. So this is like the overall length of the piece, but it doesn't mean I'm doing, it certainly doesn't mean I'm doing that, but I sort of am. I've still got to work out where this point is on the back. So looks like it's going to get cut somewhere through there. And I've got to transfer these lines up and then mitre this one way and the other. And I still don't know where yet, because I have to allow for all of this. I have to think of that. That's the important bit. Right, I'm going to get back into this and get my head around it, and then I'll come back as I'm marking it. Some serious head scratching. So I've got my mitre pieces here that are helping such a lot planning this out. I've got a leg under here, and look where it is. So I've got to make, because so that I really need to be over here to get it to 1900, because the 1900 is where the radiator comes to. But actually I've got an extra 200mm there, which is why it was important for me to see the place. There's an extra 200mm there. So what I've done is brought that 1900mm back that way so that I miss the leg, so I can keep this leg intact. And actually look at that, the mitre will come in here, so that will help support this part of the bench as well. What you've got to realise is, look at the angle of that back. So now I've laid it all out. I don't know whether you can see my lines. Here are my pencil lines. There's one there and there's one there. They're going towards this part, and it's just showing just how tight this is. Because that's laid back, I don't just cut square up here. I've got to put that on there, work out how far back that lays back, and at that point there, it's 40mm. So I've marked 40mm back from that one, so I've got to cut down here at an angle, and that makes sense. If you're thinking that these are angle backs, this has got to be mitered. Yes, that's for the seat to work, which will leave a slightly proud surface, but it'll work all the way up there. The back has got to be cut at an angle, because this part coming in here is going to be at an angle, and when you look this way, this is lying back, so that end of that seat has got to go back. So I've got to end up with these lines from here going down to there, and from here going down to there, and look how much I'm left to play with. I'm actually going to end up almost, I'm trying to obviously maximise how big this is, but so it fits in the space, but it's so close. It's unbelievably close. So stolen a bit to go that way, but I've still got enough to get the 1200, and it all comes down to how far there is from there, from that point there, further back to the back of this unit, of this pew. And it's about 150mm from that point there. There's still another 150. So I've worked that out. There is almost going to be no offcut, except for the seat part, a little wedge there. I'm actually going to end up cutting across here and across there, so there won't actually be enough to make this corner go round the corner. I might have to shape that, we'll see. I'm getting closer to the saw, and doing all this and building up this image of how it's all working in my head, drawing it all out on the piece so that I can cut to the line as quickly as possible. So it's all in the planning, it's all in the preparation. The better I prepare this, the better I get this, the easier it will be for it to go back together as a corner seat. But yeah, let's get this marking out finished. And then the realisation comes in that mark is only correct on this surface. I've actually got to mitre back on that surface and go back to there. and then come back out, because that surface is further back. And a good way of showing you that is if I come around here now and I, with the camera, try and follow that line straight. Let me try again. If I follow that line straight, you can see that's still going straight away and that's going straight up. But from this view, that's 12 mil. That's another ½ inch past that. That's probably how deep this is. It's about 10 mil further back. So yeah, I can see the line now. I can see the mitre line. And then I've got to sort this out, and with cutting this, it's going to cut over and round there. So I've now got to mark this top up, because those two lines are going to meet here-ish. This is so tight, it's unreal. To make it easier for you guys to see, and also for me to get it in my head how it's going to be, this is it. And I think this actually might be the thumbnail shot for the video. But look how I've got to cut this. To look at the shape I've got to cut out. Look at it from here. But if you look at it from there, and it's easy, much easier with the camera, if you look at it from here, watch this straight line. Let me try and put it in the middle. Look at that straight line. See how that part of the mitre is a straight line. Coming up here, straight, 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 going off over there, straight. But if you come around here, and look how I've got to cut it out. So I've got to cut this mitre straight the way through, but it's well back off that, and I've sort of laid myself bare. Look at this one. This one looks good. That looks pretty good straight line. It's on the inside here. So it's this side of it. This is where the cut will be, down here. I've laid myself bare. I've laid myself open to, if this doesn't work, this is the only evidence I've got for a thumbnail of how to do this, or how I'm going to approach this. And I'm actually trying to find a good way to shoot this, to get a good thumbnail. How to cut a church pew in half, or make a church pew into a corner pew. I think that's it. I think it's get the saw out job, and I think it is a hand saw. I'm going to be using a hand saw throughout this, no power tools, all by hand. Look where the original line was estimated at being. These were the original estimated lines for the centre of for the length of the bench. I'm not going to be far off. I've worked it out, it's going to be a bit longer that way, as I said, because of that leg, but that leg's providing support just underneath where the joint will be. I think this is going to work. I hope this is going to work. If it doesn't work, what's going to happen is I will show you, and then I will have to rectify it, which isn't going to be the easiest thing to do. But I mean, I'm looking at that and I'm thinking that one goes off a bit, whereas this one doesn't, does it? That one feels a straight line. Look at that. It just feels a straight line. That, even though I've gone to my measurements, and I've got it all correct there. And this is why I'm running through it on the video, because I know what it is. It's that I think I'm too far back this way with that. Well, I'd rather have too much on than not enough. So I'm guessing that that piece there will be the first piece that touches that mitre there when I turn them round and see what's going on. So I'm probably going to have to plane some off there. I'd rather it be too big than too small. Let's get the saw out. And what's the woodworking saying? Measure twice, cut once. Well, it's the same as just double checking everything, that it makes sense. It does make sense. It does make sense. I don't think I've got enough on there for a nice sharp corner on the back, but which will have to be rounded. So be it. So be it. I'm getting it. It's going to be not far off the 1200. And it's going to be not far. It's going to be 19. I think it's going to be 2010. So 110 mil longer than I expected. But that's because I don't want to move that leg. Keep it there. Keep it original. Wish me luck. And one last thing before I start sawing, I'm sawing this way first. Why am I doing that? Because that piece there is supported by that leg. This piece is only sorted by this end. So if I cut this away, that falls away, and that's still upright for me to do that. If I start with that piece, that cuts off. I've got no way of supporting this to cut this off. So there's an order to this. Cut this way first, cut that way next. What I've not done is cut through the back, so it's still attached. I think I'll start cutting this way now and see what I end up with here, and then maybe when I've got these two triangles, go down the middle, cut down the middle so that these two can join together, and then maybe put a piece joining these two back up with a square later. That would work. One side sort of released. Yeah, it's slightly crazy. And that triangle I was on about earlier, if I jointed it the other way, that's what the triangle would have looked like. A good 20 mil of step. Right. Now I've got a cramp holding this back where it was. Some of that has dropped because obviously I've cutting the structure out. But I've got to cut down here, and I'm being a bit crafty. Look what I've done with this step between that one that's come off. I've put a couple of packers here and there so that I'm not damaging the wood, but also to spread the load a bit. And I've done that so that I can saw down here without sawing the point off that one, because if you look, I said I might have to round them over. Well, if I've been crafty, I've pulled that out the way. I might still have to round it a bit, but nowhere near as much. I mean, this has got to, yeah, this is going to be round, but I think it'll be better. It'll be less of a radius on that corner, and you're not going to see it because you're going to be viewing it from here. You've got to climb over it, and it's rounded, so which means it's a softer edge, which means if kids get up there and run their fingers over it, there's no chance of splinters or anything. I'm ready to start cutting through that way. So I've cut through there, I'm down to there, and I just thought I'm not going to waste this. I see this as my repair between this edge and that edge there, and I don't know how much it'll do for me, but it's the same thickness, it's the same piece, and it'll help strengthen that corner. So I thought I'd just chop this out now, so I'm using the jigsaw to just cut that out to save that piece of wood from getting damaged or not even cut out nicely. So I'm cutting it out square so that it should fit. Right, well, it's looking something like, I've got the angle here slightly wrong. I should have leant over a bit more, but you never know. I mean, my floor isn't the most level floor. So I'm taking a break from this for a minute. That's not bad, that's not bad. This is okay, that one's a bit better. You might be able to see where I've run a plane over there and there. I've got to try and straighten that up, but I thought I'd give myself a break and work on this thing for a minute. This is the corner. These are the corner pieces. That's the outside of the one. That's the other. Those two have got to go like that and be mitered and jointed back together. And I want to glue these together, glue and pin these together, so that they'll help hold everything in place. A good joint. I think I'm not going to get much more done today. It's 2 o'clock. I'm tired. It's a lot of work. But I think if I glue this together and then maybe pin it tomorrow and pin through the joint, that will help with that. Let's glue that up. So these are the two pieces that, when they're together, they should be, oh, they're not far off at all. Look at that. 90 degrees. There's a datum on the back because they were only, these two edges were like 4 or 5 inches apart. They were like that, weren't they? With the offcut in the middle. So I'll use that as a datum to get that right. And I think if I glue and pin this together today, it'll be a much stronger joint for tomorrow. There's dirt around here as well that's helping me fix that in the right place. Yeah, let's clamp this together. Let's glue and clamp this. So I'm going to rub joint this together. Well, I think I am. And see how that goes. There's not much glue coming out, which means there's probably a couple of gaps there. Let's put some more glue in. I'll rub joint it and then I will wrap some tape around it to squeeze it together a bit more. It looks pretty good. There you go, a bit more rubbing. That's better. It's starting to grip now. It is going to need a bit of cramping. There you go, that's better up there. It's going to get very messy. Indeed. Cramp that way, I think. Or tape. Tape might work better. Let's see if I can do this without totally embarrassing myself. So we don't want too much pressure across that way because it will pull it off. But what I do want is quite a bit of pressure around this way. So that's not bad. And then I can be a little bit softer on the pressure there. Pull that onto there. And again, pull it. And can you see the glue oozing out? Can you see the glue oozing out? It's not a bad way. Again, not too much pressure there. I'm going to change angle a bit there. Don't underestimate how much strength you can get on a piece of tape. Not too much there. Got to remind yourself as you're doing it, don't apply so much that you're actually pulling the joint apart as well. Yeah, this is working. This is working. Not much pressure there. More pressure here. You can see the tension coming on the masking tape. And I'm pushing back with my finger to push towards the mitre. So there's a lot of pressure from this way and that way, all pulling together. And you'll see in a sec just the difference it's making. Not too much pressure that way. Again, pull it round. That's a shame. There we go, wrapped it around. Now look how much glue has oozed out in the middle. And look how good this joint is down the outside here with gluing coming out. I've got it pretty much lined up. These are looking good. That's it, leave that till tomorrow. and then I'll put a couple of pins in it. I won't do it while it's wet. I might even dowel it. I might even put a couple of dowels at different angles so that it's got wood holding that. Next. So I've decided to put some panel pins in because I haven't got any dowels that are going to be effective enough. So I'm pre-drilling them. That's a little bit tighter than the pin. And what can I tell you? I can tell you that they're not going in. I can tell you that they're not going in straight like that. They're actually going in at that angle. And then every other one. So this one's going from that side. This one will go from this side. And I will go one way. So I've got one from that way. I will get about 5 in here. And they will alternate each way so that it helps make a good strong joint. And then that glue will chisel off tomorrow. Nice. Now you can see what's happened now. More glues in out. That's okay. Just check it for square and see how it's doing. So that's on there. There you go. That's how square it is. So I'm happy with that. Not going to get much better than that, and a good mechanical fix and some glue on fresh new wood so that can dry off. Right, one of the tips, one of the things I learnt a long time ago is if you've got an uneven gap, get it somewhere near where you want it and then saw through the gap and it'll take the high spots off. Let me see if I can show you. So I could do with that, actually I've done it. I'm not going to do that again. I've done it. So there was an uneven gap, and that's what I'll do down there through the seat. I'll run the saw through it. So I'm going to put a screw in here now, or a couple of screws in here to lock this in the right place and make it easier to work on the rest of it. I've got to be able to put screws in here because I've got to take it apart to put this corner piece in, which is missing at the moment. But it's actually coming together now, which is pretty good. And I've got a leg under here supporting this. When I've cut through that, I will then put a supporting piece under here to hold that. And with those screws there, with that bit there, with something going on with this, oh, I need to cut through here. Let's do that now. There you go. So now it's a saw kerf gap, so I can pull those up and you lose the gap by cramping it up. £3 Sunday afternoon, and I'm tired, to say the least. I think I'm on my last cut. Anyhow, if you like this video, please share, subscribe, super thanks, buy me a coffee, PayPal, whatever you want to do, help me move this channel forward. That would be great. Right, look what I'm doing. Look what I'm doing. I'm down to my last cut now. The gap is about 1 millimetre wide, 1.5 mils at the most. I've got clamps all round. This is screwed to hold all this steady. There's a leg to hold that. There's clamps to hold it this way. There's clamps to hold it that way. There's a lot going on. I'm just going to do one saw cut through here now, and that's it. I'm not doing any more after that. It's going to be what it is. That's it. I can't get it any better than that without spending another few days, and it's not worth a little bit tiny little bit better for a few days more worth of work. So yeah, I'm going to try and get the saw started round here somewhere. I might have to take this cramp off and just saw through to that end and see it, and then I'll put the cramp back on and then finish off that end. I think that's the plan. That's good. Sometimes you start assembling and forgetting you're filming it. Right, I've put that piece in now. I've got 3 biscuits in there, 1, 2, 3. I've got, yeah, that piece is doing a good job. I've got that all glued up. So that's all glued up. That is in and dryish. I've just got to pull these mitres up now, but that's helping. That's going to help. I'm going to screw that, and then I'm going to pull this in. I'm going to do that first because that knows exactly where it's going because it's been screwed in. And that's why I've got 2 this way and then 1 that way to lock it. Right, stop there. And then tighten up. That is exactly where I want it. There's glue oozing out the back of the joint. That's good. This is good down there. I've just got to pull that up now. So I've got to get the cramp on that way. I've got to pull it that way, so I've got to move the camera. And I'm rushing because I've got glue going off. You go here, you can see what's going on. Joint pulling up, joint pulling up. That's pretty flipping good. The biscuits are working. The joint needs pulling up this way. So I don't know how I'm going to do that. I've got screws to get in the back here yet. So I could start screwing this up. Ratchet strap to go the other way because I haven't got sash clamps long enough. Tighten the ratchet strap. Ah, wonderful, wonderful. That's as flush as you're going to get with something this big. That's great. So that's got that now. Let's try screwing it up and see if that helps. Alright, come on, have a look, see what's going on. Screws going in down here. A bit of wax on the screw. That's nice. I'm not going to get it much better than that, not on my own. That's tidy. That's okay. That's just... and it's flush under there. I'm okay with that. Oh, wow. Good morning. It's still here. It's had plenty of time to go off. It's a little bit later in the day than I wanted it to be, but the longer I give this to go off and cure, the glue cure, the better. So it's had about 21 hours or so to dry, so it's had plenty of time to go off. Let's have a look at the mess I've made in the workshop as well. Biscuit joint, iron, bits I've had to use, and the mess that working in the workshop on something so big, you're working on it, around it, it just takes up a lot of space. But anyhow, it's done. I'm going to take the cramps off and I'm going to work on this first and sort this little problem out. ratchet strap off to start with, get that out the way, and then these clamps are just to hold it square, to keep it square while I have to move it around. So hopefully there's no pressure on the joint, don't want that joint breaking, and then turn it onto its back. And believe me, this is not light, this is pretty heavy. Didn't quite have the room to turn it over, so I had to move it around a bit. This is one of the reasons my back went a few months ago, yeah, my back went. And just hold that up there at that angle so that I can do some work on it. Right, let's put something across there now, brace that. Right, it's not pretty, but it's pretty blooming good. It's, yeah, you saw me put the clamp on there. The clamp was to pull that in tight because we've got two angles meeting here, so there's quite a bit of glue on there. I'd roughed it all up, I'd keyed it up, as you could see. There's a bit of glue dripping off there, that's fine, I'll wipe that up in a bit. There's that timber that I put across, and this has all been softened so that nobody can get a splinter, no young ones can hurt themselves on it. This probably needs a bit more sanding and softening up, but that's just as rough as everything else under here, to be honest. It needs a good clean, it needs deworming again. I'd say it needs worm killing again. And this, as I said, is a brace just to stop it, just to keep it together. Right, let's put it back on its feet. Hope you enjoyed this video. I really do appreciate you watching, and if you can like, share, subscribe, that'd be wonderful. And I'll see you next week for next week's video. Doesn't it look great? Thanks for watching. Cheers.